dark and difficult times lie ahead. Soon we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy.
How you doing, folks? Only me. Welcome back to another video. This you may have already heard of. This is an incident that happened 2 days ago on the 3rd of October 2019 on a train from, I believe, London to Southend-on-Sea in Essex, my hometown. The incident has been reported in some media outlets. I don't believe I've seen it on any news just yet, but I've definitely read it in some of the newspapers online. However, this video I came across from other people's YouTube channels where they've simply uploaded the video, and there are people commenting, asking for some context about, surrounding the incident. And that's what I'm hoping to try and give you here if you haven't already got that information. So most people are uploading just one video, and that's the first part, which you're about to see. I've got two videos, the first part, and there's a second video, which I'm going to attach directly after the first video that you're about to watch. After that, I'm going to give you some context in regards to what's been reported, as I say, many of these channels haven't done that. They've just simply uploaded the video. So let's get into the video first of all, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
Oh, damn it. Yeah. 5 minutes. Right.
I don't like to sleep, bro. I don't like to sleep, I want to fight in my winter, bro. Look at me, I'm strong. Look at me. Oh! I want to fight in my winter, bro. Look at me, I'm strong. Look at me. Oh! I want to fight in my winter, bro. Look at me, I'm strong. Look at me. Oh!
It's too stressful, like, I can't use all my energy to go down someone. It's bleeding already, but you're saying,
She's station person.
hello? Yeah, but you're saying, hello. Now it's calm. I'm not going to say, hello. This guy is crazy.
I'm not bleeding.
He's drunk.
There's no bleeding.
No, not doing on internet.
Yeah, it's actually not the 30 minute more.
Oh.
Can
Can these people just go?
One in the jacket.
Why is it moving?
Now, there are a few stories going around online as to what actually happened in the build-up to this incident. One of the stories is that the Afghan person, as is reported by most people, was harassing a woman on the train, okay? And the tall guy came over and took hold of him for whatever reason. And the Afghan man then starts making threats to stab the tall guy before the tall guy then turns around and headbutts him. Now, we can't really hear fully what's being said. There are a few bits which are loud enough to make out if you've got headphones on, but generally speaking, it's very difficult to hear what has actually been said. So without actual proof, it's hard to say whether he threatened to stab him or not. I haven't heard that myself. I'm not saying that didn't actually happen, however. The other story is that the Afghan man tried to put his hand in the tall guy's bag or pocket to try and steal something from him and was caught. Now, I understand if somebody's threatening to stab you. As a normal member of the public, you or I, we have to do what is proportionate to protect ourselves. And I think headbutting somebody would be proportionate if somebody was in a position to be able to grab a knife. However, it turns out, although you can't tell this from the first piece of footage, it turns out that the tall guy was actually a police officer. And we're talking about a police officer who is trained to detain people forcibly if necessary. I don't recall any training videos that I've ever seen or any of the research I've done in the last sort of 7 months showing that once a police officer has hold of both of your hands, the next thing to do is to headbutt somebody. Especially considering you're not going to be going for a knife if you've got one on you if your hands are being held, there by somebody. And the guy's clearly a lot bigger, so he's probably a lot stronger, I would imagine, than the Afghan person. So anyway, these are the stories that are going around at the moment. There is no definite answer to what actually happened in the lead up to that situation, but it does turn out, as I say, that the guy was a police officer. I wonder if that changes anybody's view after watching the video, because I think most of you would have said fair play, absolutely, do you know what I mean? Guy deserved a good crack in the nut, or a Glasgow kiss as it's known. But does that change your view, knowing that he is a police officer, a trained police officer who is trained to detain people and, potentially disarm them if they've got, a weapon or whatever it might be? Yeah, the guy may have been off duty, but still, I'm not sure whether headbutting somebody is, the kind of reaction from a police officer that we would like to see. Unless, again, as I've said in previous videos, if you're fighting for your life and the rule book goes out the fucking window, do you know what I mean? And you do whatever you have to do to protect yourself or other people. But in this situation, he did have hold of his hands. I'm not saying that the police officer did anything wrong in the sense that he collared the bloke and detained him. That's great. If he was, pickpocketing or trying to thieve something or harassing somebody, then yeah, do you know what I mean? Absolutely fine, needs to be dealt with. I'm just not so sure that a headbutt is the right way for a police officer to behave, unless they're fighting for their life. Anyway, it does turn out that the guy was an off-duty police officer, which makes me wonder why in the second video the guy is handcuffed and there doesn't appear to be any other police officers around. I'm pretty sure their handcuffs are supposed to stay at the police station, but I might be wrong. Again, there may have been police officers there that I didn't see in that second part of the video. If you see any there, please let me know, but I didn't see them. It turns out that the Metropolitan Police's Directorate of Professional Standards have seen the video and have publicly stated that they're satisfied that there is no indication that the officer committed a criminal offence, nor that he behaved in a manner that would justify disciplinary proceedings. I do understand that sometimes you have to react in situations, but again, I'm not entirely sure that if somebody had hold of, or if you had hold of somebody's hands, they weren't going for their pockets, so they're not going to be getting no knife out, and you've got the opportunity or the option to maybe sweep their feet, put them down on the ground and detain them there, I'm not sure that a headbutt is necessarily the right way for a police officer to be carrying out, any kind of detaining of anybody. Again, if it was somebody who was not trained, if it was somebody who didn't necessarily, let's say somebody who didn't have any self-defense training, then I think that yes, you may well have headbutted him because you don't know whether or not you're going to be able to hold on to him. He's going to, you know, he may have gone for a knife or whatever it might have been. But for somebody who is trained, or somebody who has self-defense training, please, if anyone's watching this that has self-defense training, I haven't. I fight dirty when I fight, but, you know, if somebody watching this has self-defense training, please let me know. Would you have headbutted the person, or would you have put them on the floor, maybe got them in an arm lock or whatever it might have been? But would you have headbutted them ultimately? And there's no right or wrong answer to that, I don't think. I just genuinely want to know your opinion as somebody that knows about self-defense. Would you have acted in that way, or would you have detained the person until you got to the next stop without that level of violence? I love the way that one of the newspapers, the online newspapers that I've read, actually calls the guy the bearded commuter. That's what they called him, a bearded commuter, which I find highly amusing. Now, the guy who got headbutted has been charged with threatening behaviour and intent to cause fear of unlawful violence in relation to the incident, and that's a quote from British Transport Police. The force have said that it received reports of a man, 29, making violent threats to passengers on the train before he was arrested at Upminster Station. Now, the actual report in the newspaper says that the officer then violently headbutts him and sends him crashing behind, startling fellow passengers. And it was a violent headbutt, in my opinion. There were reports on social media that the guy was, or the bearded man, was shouting abuse and trying to fight other passengers. Which, again, we've seen many times people doing that, and I've never seen a police officer headbutt somebody. I've seen them detain them violently, but I've never seen a police officer headbutt somebody. And, you know, now it does say that the media on social, the video on social media is limited. They believe that the incident lasted in excess of 20 minutes, and obviously we do only have, say, you know, a minute or minute and a half worth of what actually happened. I don't understand why people just don't upload the whole video. It would make things so much easier, but, you know, what can you do? It says the Met's Directorate of Professional Standards have reviewed the video and the details surrounding the incident and are satisfied that there is no indication that the officer committed a criminal offence, nor that he behaved in a manner that would justify disciplinary proceedings. At this stage, no complaints have been received, and so no further action will be taken. Which makes me wonder, when somebody breaks into your house and you give them a good kicking and you hurt them, why we end up in court defending ourselves, but yet a police officer can get away with it. And again, I'm not suggesting that the police officers shouldn't have done something in that situation. I just personally don't believe that headbutting a guy was the right thing to do. Again, some of you will agree, and some of you won't, and that's absolutely fine. We will continue this discussion in the comments. Following a search, it says that the man aged 29 was further arrested on suspicion of carrying a knife and theft by finding. He remains in custody. Now, suspicion of carrying a knife, either he had the knife on him or he didn't. So I don't understand where this suspicion of carrying a knife is, unless they found no knife, but somebody said he had a knife. And the theft by finding as well. Again, that kind of backs up the story that he may have pickpocketed or put his hand in a bag, but then later said that he found it on the floor or whatever it might have been. It's the kind of thing that people say to get out of trouble. But there we go. That's the video. That's kind of the story that is available about the incident. I'd like to know what you think in the comments below, obviously. I'd be very interested to hear what you think about this situation. The behaviour of the police officer in that situation. And remember to take that the context of that situation. And I'm not going to argue with people if you think that the police officer did the right thing. That's absolutely your right to. It's just my opinion that I think that the headbutt was a bit excessive for the circumstances that we see. And again, let me make it very clear. I can only talk about what we see in these incidents. Reading reports, reading news articles is fine, but we all know that that doesn't necessarily reflect the facts. And that's why anybody who has a video of an event should always upload the full video and not just snippets of it. That way everybody can see the lead up to the incident rather than the incident itself. And that allows us to make a better judgment on what has happened. That's it for now. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that if you didn't know what was going on in that video and you've seen it, I hope now that I've been able to enlighten you a little bit more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. All of those things will help to build the channel, get it promoted out to a few more people in their recommended. So, thanks once again. Enjoy your weekend, and until next time.
Good night, all.